Hey, is that folk music that you play there? What is that? How do you call that folk music?
I think it was Studs Terkel who asked Big Bill Broonzy, did he consider his blues music to be folk music? And Big Bill says, well, never heard no horses sing on there.
Don't hesitate. It could be your ticket to a new tomorrow.
I know a lady, she hasn't any time to give away. Oh, but maybe, yeah, the time she has will drift my way. A precious drop of time in her eyes, stolen moments like rain in the night, like tears of angels high above. It covers me in this waterfall of love. Precious droplets of time in her eyes, stolen moments like rain in the night. It's like tears of angels high above. It covers me in this waterfall of love.
All right, all right.
Thunderous sound of one hand clapping.
Or at least two. The show is Horses Sing None of It. My name is Ralph Litwin, and you're just listening to some of the music of Michael Jonathan. Welcome to the show,
Good to see you again, Ralph.
Nice to have you back.
Thank you for inviting me.
Second appearance for Michael Jonathan.
I tell you,
Horses Sing None of It.
I'm a regular. A regular guest.
And Jonathan hails from Mousie, Kentucky.
Yes, Mousie, Kentucky. It's in Knott County, Kentucky.
Knott County?
Knott County,
How do you
Kentucky.
spell that?
K-N-O-T-T, Kentucky.
I was hoping they spelled it N-O-T.
No, K-N-O-T-T. Mousie's across the mountain from Minnie. That's my cabin is 0.6 of a mile from Booger Branch in Knott County, Kentucky.
Booger Branch?
Booger Branch. You think I'm kidding, and I'm not. That's the funny thing.
And what's the derivation? Where's that name come from?
That was the first, Mousie and Minnie were the nicknames of the first names of the wives of the landowners of the area. It had nothing to do with Walt Disney.
And what about Booger Branch?
We can't talk about that here. But it's not the only one in the Appalachian Mountains. I'm originally from New York. I moved to Appalachia to learn to be a folk singer. And Mousie's not too far from Whitesburg, and as I'm sure you and a lot of your viewers know, that's the little hamlet where Apple Shop is, June Apple Records and Apple Shop, and they sort of documented the Appalachian music and way of life on film and on record. And I thought that would be a nice place to start a folk music journey And it was very old time and very simple and very musical, and people still sing on their front porches. And only recently has things like cable, had just started infiltrating the mountains and stuff. But as far as like 10 years ago, things were still really basic and very Mother Earth newsy and Norman Rockwell-esque. And I really loved it there.
Cool.
So now I'm not in Kentucky that often because of touring and the music work. So people ask me where I live now, and I tell them I live on an airplane in a car seat. Get my mail in Kentucky.
All right. And you're a songwriter. That first song was yours, I take it?
But I like to play other people's songs too. It's a big difference between a songwriter and a folk singer. I'm a folk singer. People like Greg Brown and John Gorka and folks like that, they're brilliant songwriters. Dar Williams is a brilliant songwriter. I'm a folk singer. And the difference between the two is that if you picture America's music body of work like a big chain, every time a songwriter writes a new song and enters it into the musical consciousness, they're like adding another link to this chain, to this body of work. And that's what a songwriter does. And I write my own songs, and so I add my own links to that chain. But a folk singer is very conscientious about not just writing their own links into the chain, but they will reach backward and take links from the past and bring them forward within their body of work and reintroduce those songs as if brand new to a new audience, to a new generation. That's what a folk singer does. That's what I am.
All right.
Capital F, very proud of it.
So after that intro, are we going to get to hear a folk song now?
Yeah, I thought I better just shut up and do one. Try to do one in tune. Put out an album a couple years ago called Wood Songs, and this was one of my favorite songs on the CD. It's from Ireland. It's based on a series of 4 letters that a young peasant boy in Ireland wrote to his girlfriend, Mary McCree, after he went from Ireland to the big city of London, England in the turn of the century. And 2 songwriters discovered his letters, and they put his words to the music of an old Irish melody. And this is the song, or my interpretation of it. It's called Mountains o' Mourning. Oh, Mary, this London's such a wonderful sight. The people here working by day and by night. They don't sow potatoes or barley or wheat, and there's gangs of 'em digging for gold in the street. At least when I asked them, well, that's what I was told. So I just took a hand at all this digging for gold. But all that I found there, well, I might as well be back where the dark morn sweeps down to the sea. Well, with regards to those questions in your letters that you asked, as to how those fine ladies of London were dressed, well, if you believe me, but when asked to a ball, well, they don't wear no tops to their dresses at all. Oh yes, I've seen them myself, and you could not in truth tell it if they were bound for a ball or a bath. So don't be starting those fashions now, Mary McCree. back where the dark morn sweeps down to the sea. Oh yes, there's beautiful girls here now, never you mind, and beautiful shapes nature's never designed, lovely complexions of roses and cream. But let me remark with regard to the same. Now if that those roses you venture to sip, the colors might all run away on your lip. So I'll wait for the wild rose still waiting for me, back where the dark morn sweeps down to the sea.
All right.
Pretty old song. It's a pretty old song, yeah.
I never heard that one.
It's a true story based on these letters that he was seeing things in London that he had never seen before, like cleavage. You know, and that was very,
Shocking.
well, I was going to say big, but misunderstood. But you know, it was a neat thing for him to see things like makeup and girdles that changed the natural shape of a woman and so. And the letters were so cute, and the song I thought turned out so well. You know, and it's been around for you. The first time I ever heard this was on a live Kingston Trio record from the early '60s. When of course, they did it. You know, oh Mary, this London's a wonderful town. La da da da. You know, the Kingston Trio way. So, but when you make it more delicate, make it your own that way.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty piece.
Very pretty. Odetta's a friend of yours.
Mm-hmm. And she's got a beautiful new blues album out that I think everybody should go to the record store and get this new Odetta record, because it's her first contemporary record in like 25 years. And it's a beautiful piece of work. But yeah, I've done a lot of tour dates with her and a song.
I met Odetta once. We were playing in Lincoln Center with a group. And we did the Barnyard Dance where everybody goes, aha! And she was, I didn't know who she was. She was sitting in the front row and she was yelling out, aha, so loud. After the song was over, I said, this lady in the front row gets the award for being the best yeller in the crowd.
Well, Odetta,
she came up afterwards and introduced herself.
Odetta was the one who started the folk boom in the late 50s. She was the very first client of an artist manager. He just came in from Chicago and he was going to make his fortune in the music business, and he decided to be a folk singer's manager. And the first artist that he signed was Odetta, young black girl from the South, and got her a record deal. And then he got his other clients to begin opening for Odetta. People like Peter, Paul, and Mary, Janis Joplin, and this other client that he had named Bob Dylan. You know, Albert Grossman became the biggest manager in folk and rock music in the 60s, you know. But Odetta's career was the one that he used to springboard the entire event. And while all the other artists' careers exploded on a commercial global level, Odetta refused to follow that path. And she remained very roots-oriented, very esoteric and pure in her approach to music. And when I had a chance to record the Wood Songs record, she was a hero of mine. When I first moved to Mousie, quick story. When I first moved to Mousie, everybody, all the locals out there knew that I was really into this folk and acoustic music thing, and so somebody gave me a 10-year-old album by Janis Ian called Aftertones. And Janis is a very depressed songwriter. Her records tend to be very down, and I've done some tour dates with her too, and I used to joke that, you know, next time she puts out a CD, she should enclose a free razor blade with each, because everything's very down and sad and everything. And I was drinking a glass of Merlot wine, listening to this album play, and by the time you got to the end of the record, you were pretty mellowed out. And sure enough, the last song on the last side of the Aftertones LP was a song called Hymn, H-Y-M-M. It's a funeral dirge, very appropriate. By the time you get to that record, you're about ready for one. And it's a duet between Janis and Emmylou Harris. And it's a very beautiful song. Don't get me wrong. Janis's songs are gorgeous, but they're all very slow and soft. And I was listening to the record and kind of there on the couch with my glass of wine, listening to the final song. And it's this funeral dirge and Emmylou's voice and Janis's voice and mixing together, so beautiful. And then out of the speakers came this mystical, cosmic, brilliant, unearthly sound that I just didn't know what it was. And I looked on the jacket and it said Odetta, and I thought, cool, they're using an Odetta in the studio. I thought it was a piece of electronic equipment, you know, but it turned out to be a real person, you know, and I've since come to know her, not as a piece of gear, but as a very beautiful singer and a beautiful woman.
Cool. Well, we have a video here of you and Odetta performing one of the songs on your album.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at that when they can get that rolling. And that's on this Wood Songs album.
I remember the year when my granddaddy died. And we dug his grave on a mountainside. I was too young to understand the way he felt all about the land. But I could read his history in his hand. He said, gone. Go rise again. There's corn in the crib and apples in the bin. Hay in the loft and cotton in the gin. Ham in the smokehouse and hogs in the trough. You know he never had a lot, but he worked like a mule for the little that he got. He said, go, they're gonna rise again. So I'm sitting on a ridge high above this farm. And I'm thinking of my people that have moved on. They said gone, they're gonna rise again. You're like a tree that grows from the mountain ground. The storms of life come and cut you down, but the new wood springs from the roots underground. Said the new roots spring from the roots underground.
Incense.
Oh, okay. And we're back. It's a very nice video. Cool video.
Thank you. We that video, as a point of interest, premiered on CNN, which you know is Ted Turner's global folk music channel. Premiered on CNN.
Nice.
But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And she was so sweet during that whole thing. Well, the really fun part was after we were done shooting it, going for pancakes at a Waffle House at 4 in the morning with Odetta. Those are the stories you can't tell here.
And that's on this Wood Songs. It's a combination book and album.
Mm-hmm.
You get the book, and the album CD is in the back cover here.
Yep, and you have the jacket and the tray card and everything, so you can put together your own compact disc if you want.
Cool.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. That whole project was a lot of fun.
So you want to tell us a little bit about this book?
Well, it's a 176-page opinion of what folk music is through a viewpoint of a folk singer. And I don't expect anybody to agree with me. But it was just a lot of fun. And I think, you know, too many times the folky types are very ethereal and serious and very I, me, my in their songwriting. And it's like they forgot how to have fun, or like they're walking around with a banjo neck rammed up their butt or something. They're just very stressed out and tense, and they don't enjoy themselves, and they don't enjoy their music. And I wanted to sort of reintroduce the whole idea of just folk music is this big, grand, pulsating, throbbing, living, breathing, almost orgasmic form of American art, this musical thing we call folk, because it's constantly exploding and turning into something else. Folk music gave birth to rock, it gave birth to country, it gave birth to bluegrass. What do you think Bill Monroe was playing before he called it bluegrass? It was just folk music. You know, folk gave birth to everything. That's why it's so hard to describe what is folk music. That's where that big, boring conversation comes from. What is folk music? Well, it's everything. That's why your show is the way it is. Your show has everything on it. That's real folk music. You can define folks' children. Rock, country, blues, bluegrass. You can define the children easier than folk music. That's why the children of folk, when you go into a music store, they've got their defined bins throughout the store. Folk music really doesn't. And I wanted Wood Songs to reflect that passion.
Cool. And you said that the radio show that you do grew out of this?
Yeah, people from NPR, from public radio, got hold of the book and the CD. It sold very well, and it got passed around a lot. And they called me up and they said, Michael, if we gave you an hour a week of syndicated satellite radio time, what would you do with it? And I said, nothing. I'm not a radio guy. I wouldn't do anything with it. And so I turned them down. And I think they wanted me to do some kind of a tie-dyed, sandal-wearing, granola-chomping, post-retro, hippie freak, frustrated AOL subscriber on a Saturday night kind of a radio show. You know, spin some records and call up Arlo Guthrie and complain that none of us are distributed. You know, but I said no, I wasn't really interested in it. And I was traveling around the country and I was thinking about it, and I said, you know, it was really stupid, because here's, as powerful as radio is, here's a chance to reintroduce folk music and what a folk singer is on a global level. So I rethunk it and created the Wood Songs Old Time Radio Hour, which is a live audience radio show. Wherever I am on a Sunday, I've got to be in Lexington, Kentucky at a theater on a Monday, where we tape this thing in front of it's in a theater of 200 people. Artists come in from all over the world to Lexington for free, which is why Folk Rhymes was broke, to perform on this radio show. And right now, as we're taping this, the show is syndicated on 157 radio stations around the world, mostly in North America, and this is in just 80 weeks. So I mean, there's a big hunger for the kind of music that is presented on your TV show, on radio programs like Wood Songs and others. There's a hunger in the population for real artists. Not for me, because I suck, but real good artists they want them. And the radio show helps introduce them.
Cool. So it's on public radio.
It's on, interestingly enough, 2/3 of the stations that have picked up Wood songs are public and community radio stations. The other third are commercial stations.
Nice.
So commercial stations are picking up
Little crossover
this
there.
folk show, yeah, and which we're very surprised about that.
We have just time to take a little banjo tune out of here because we talk too much.
Want to chase away the audience?
I'm ready. 2 banjos, we're going to scare you off. Thanks for joining us. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. Know the difference between a banjo player and a pizza?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Pizza can feed a family of 4. You want another one? Don't have time. You don't have time? So this one here, we're going to do a combination of Over the Waterfall and Arkansas Traveler.
If we get that far.
Okay.